Hey, welcome to Live with Lynn. So if you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, be sure to type replay so I know you were here. I'm Lynn Huber, and I appreciate you being here. So today I want to talk about awesome advice I read today that you and I need badly. So do you find yourself saying yes when you mean no? Do you say things and then you immediately think to yourself, God, why did I do that, right? Do you say yes to projects when you're already running on empty so you know you can't do your best? Or do you feel like you're overworked or overstressed or anxious because you constantly agree to things that you didn't actually agree with? Do you commit to things and then maybe sometimes flake at the last minute because you never really wanted to go in the first place? Well, you know what? You're not alone. We all find ourselves doing that from time to time. Seriously, we all do. I find myself doing it. I'm better at it, but I still find myself doing it. So this was pretty powerful when I read this morning. So you're probably afraid of disappointing people, right? You probably worry constantly about what people are thinking about you. No matter how hard you work or how well you do, you probably worry that it's not enough. Maybe you feel responsible for how other people feel. If someone is in a bad mood, maybe you wonder if it's something you said. What happens is you overcommit yourself to things. You take on too much. You end up taking care of everyone else and not taking care of yourself, which that then leaves you emotionally exhausted and anxious. But here's the thing. The thing is that every time you say yes when you mean no, you're letting people disrespect your boundaries. These people, mostly, they don't mean you any harm. They're not deliberately trying to disrespect your boundaries. But how are they supposed to know that you aren't willing to do something if you haven't communicated that to them, right? If you say yes, they don't know that you really didn't want to do it. So when this happens, when you have poor boundaries because you haven't put in the work to set them, you feel resentment, you feel anger, you feel like you're burned out because you always end up doing stuff that you really didn't want to do, you really were unwilling to do. And so, or maybe other people end up doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. They keep doing these things because they've never had any reason to believe it's not okay. And usually they don't even realize that they're overstepping a boundary. So either way, it's up to you to change that. You and me, we have to change that. So where do these people-pleasing tendencies come from? Well, we all have them, right? This article I was reading today, Amy Morin, who's a psychotherapist and a clinical social worker, she says that for many, the eagerness to please comes from self-worth issues. They hope that saying yes to everything that's asked of them will help them feel accepted and liked. Actually, the implications of this is really striking, right? If you say yes to things too often, this could stem like you not feeling like you're not enough. You're not enough, right? That your worth as a person is tied to arbitrary measures, like whether or not people like you. That's not an easy pill to swallow, but it makes sense. I think we all have a little bit of that in us. Why else would you say yes to things you don't want to? Why else would you say yes to things that go against your own well-being? So let's talk about how to start saying no more. So the first step to changing any behavior is to identify it. So you need to cultivate that self-awareness. You can do this by journaling, you can see a therapist if you need to, or meditating, or just taking some time every day to sit back and maybe reflect on the day and just reflect on what you said yes to that you shouldn't have, or how things went during the day, or how things didn't go right during the day. Reflection is a necessary part of building that self-awareness, because building that habit of sitting down and reflecting on what happened will help you become more and more cognizant of your actions as you're doing them. So first, you want to start building that practice of self-awareness, of knowing what you're doing and why. For example, when you say yes, is it because you were feeling pressured? Do you feel obligated even though you know that there's not really any real obligation in place? So think about how, reflect back on how you were feeling during these exchanges, or how you feel when you're in the exchange, and ask yourself, how would you feel if you said no? This can be really enlightening because it will help you identify your feelings. Because if you say, what if I say no? How will I feel? How will that make me feel? That's powerful. You'd be surprised maybe at what comes out. So identify where these feelings and these tendencies come from. If you're a people pleaser, it's probably because you were conditioned to be one from a young age. So many of us were told as children, to do as you're told, be a good girl, be a good boy, right? Don't be contrary, or don't be ungrateful, or whatever the term was that your parents used, or our parents used at the time. But we were always told, basically, be good and don't bother anybody, right? So examining our past and discovering where these tendencies and these feelings come from can be really helpful in breaking the habit. So this is something that's really powerful that I was reading this morning, and I know this, but it really hit home when I read it. But each of us sees our world through our own perspective. This might be new if you haven't studied a lot of personal growth, but we all have like colored lenses over our eyes, right? We can only see what we understand. We have a perception of the world, and we have a perception of ourselves in the world, and we can only see what we understand in our mind and what's coming through our colored lens, because our lens is distorted to our worldview, not necessarily what's reality. And that's true for everybody. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. It just is what it is. But because we can only see the world through our own perspective, a lot of times it's really easy to confuse what is objective reality with what the perception of events, with our perception of the events, right? So, and that's funny, this is also the basis of a well-documented phenomenon called culture shock. So you come to realize that many of your assumptions, your habits, and your boundaries are not universal givens, but they're the product of the culture you were raised in. And that's really quite jarring. There was a movie, I don't remember the name of the movie, but it was about a boy who grew up in a box and grew up into a man, and all the real people were outside of the box, and they were watching him, and he had this reality of what his world was inside the box. Do you remember that movie? But you don't know any different. All you know is your perception of what's around you. You can't see until you start to learn to get outside of yourself. You can't see what's happening in the real world and what's really objective. So the point is, when you realize when and how you inherited or picked up those certain tendencies, it gives you that power to make an objective analysis. So if you start to realize, well, geez, because my mom always told me that I had to be quiet and not bother anybody, then all of a sudden now you can see where it came from, and you can analyze it, right? And you can see that, oh, well, things don't have to be this way. These feelings are just a result of my experiences. So just because I feel like I'm letting everyone down doesn't mean I actually am in reality. And it pulls back the curtain a little bit on your tendencies, and it demystifies the emotion behind them. So this gives you a more objective lens to be able to tackle your people-pleasing habit. Hi, Monica. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So remember, it's not selfish to take care of yourself first. You're in a better place to do genuinely nice things for people when you aren't being taken for granted. When you have the energy to do the nice things because you want to, not because you feel like you have to in order to earn approval. Not only does this make your actions more sincere, but you're going to feel better about it, and you won't harbor any resentment. And finally, you need to start accepting yourself. You need to remind yourself that you are enough. We are all enough. Your value as a person does not depend on what other people think or don't think about you at all. We are all equal. We are enough, right? And once you start accepting yourself, you're going to find that you take better care of yourself and others. And you'll do things because you want to, because it lines up with your values as a person. And you might then evaluate that, I don't really want to do this, but it's in my interest to do it, or I will do it to help them out. But you're making that decision based on an objective thought process rather than, I don't want them to not like me. I'll do whatever they want, right? So you'll do those things because you want to, or for whatever reason, right? And you'll stop running yourself into the ground and trying to make everyone like you. Because here's something that's true no matter what. Not everyone is going to like you. I'm sorry, hate to break it to you, but not everyone is going to like you. That's just how it is. We all have people that we are attracted to and people that we are repelled by. It is what it is, and not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay, because there are so many people out there that will like you. You won't even notice the ones that don't. I mean, it's not important, right? You can't control who likes you anyway. And if you do, even if you do everything right? So start accepting yourself and be unabashedly authentic. You'll find yourself in a much better, happier state because you'll feel stronger. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna be a better version of yourself. So let it go. Let go what other people are thinking. Figure out why you're feeling that way, and just really start accepting yourself and start loving yourself. It's really powerful. So hey, yes, love it. Give without expecting. Monica, awesome. Thank you. So hey, what are your thoughts? If you're watching this in the replay or whatever, get down below in the comments and share with me. I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you find yourself saying yes when you mean no? What kinds of things are you brave enough to, what kinds of things do you do that help you be brave enough to say no? Please share with us in the comments below. And I want to appreciate you for being here. Gosh, I love this. Be unapologetically you. Yes, Monica, thank you. Thanks for calling that out. I love that too. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you for watching the replay, for being here. You have a great day. Bye-bye.